Oh, fucking bananas. It's Mooney sitting here, on our home depot just having a shit since Nancy May says we're not allowed to use the toilet. And, they gets their vagina squad together to say that, no matter where we go, we're not allowed to use the toilet. Yes, when some penises rape and sexually assault us, we don't feel comfortable going into the toilet that's marked by this little symbol of a stick figure with short hair wearing trousers. So, for a while we run away to Vermont, and because the pigs say he didn't do that. Yeah, the Soylent Greenfield 4512 pigs say he didn't do that. And what's the point of going to them and tell them about the Mormons that stick cucumbers up their chutes and Latter-day Saints and feed them to us? They fucking rape vegetables. They rape cucumbers, put that sexual energy on them, and then feed them to us without telling us what they do. And when we catch them, when we ask them about it, when we say, hey, why did you do that? Is that what's that all about? They deny it. And yet, they have this pickleball game. They have this pickleball game, that they invent as a front to cover up their rape of vegetables so they can sexually assault others through food. Yeah, they can use that energy that's attached to the cucumber when they stick it up their holes and then feed it to others to interfere with your relationships and, the energy pools that you're connected to. But then they say, their relationships are sacred and nobody can mess with their relationships. But then they do it to others, and so that's why we fucking destroy them. But Minnie's sitting here on her home depot, and we're having a poops. About ready to send you all to poop church, little bits. Like Rick and Morty, little bits. We take this, have poop in a bucket, and because Nancy says we're not allowed to flush it down the toilet where Stephen King's It Clown lives. And, we just chop it up into little bits of information and relay it off these, relay towers and bounce it off the fucking moon and shit. And, you're obligated to watch. And even if you don't watch the video, this is the beauty thing about it. Everybody who demands that we're not allowed to use their public-private toilet is forced to eat this shit in one way or another, even if they don't watch the video. But, it's preferable that if you do see this video that, you forward it. We don't recommend that you subscribe, because that's the problem with all the shit going on now, all these submissive slaves subscribing to Mark Zuckerberg and other shit that's causing all this discrimination. Yeah, well, it's being paid for by corporate entities and that might be, businesses for profit and or churches and other things that wants to cover up and hide their abuse. And so that's why they push this discrimination through their submissive, subscribed slaves to Facebook and other things, platforms and whatnot. Yes, but here, they're going to send you all to poop church. Minnie had a nice little poops. There you go. Eat that, Nancy Mason, your fucking vagina and or penis nigger, faggot, tranny, queer hate squad that says we're not allowed to use the toilet. Eat that, you motherfuckers. So Mooney's, denied labor and other things. We're out here in the desert. And we see these vaginas. Look at all these vaginas. Yeah, these vaginas, they have seeds in there. There are seeds up inside those vaginas. There are seeds in those vaginas. And so we asked YouTube, like, how do you get these seeds out of these vaginas so that maybe we could plant some trees? If we can't do anything else. It's like maybe Minnie could plant some trees and make some different kind of paper, that they can't tell lies on. And that they're also not allowed to murder these boy-girl trees. They're not allowed to murder them, and so that they can have paper to tell lies on and wipe their fucking asses on. So, a YouTube personage called Nana, which is triggering because that's what Dr. Sharon, Dr. LeVar and Sharon Hall, that's what Sharon likes to be called, the Mormon that likes to stick cucumbers up their chutes and Latter-day Saints. With the idea that if their victims ever come forward, they'll say, oh no, pickleball's a game, it's like ping pong or tennis or some shit, and there are rules to it, and it's a legitimate game, and it has nothing to do with raping cucumbers and fucking their victims by having them eat those without telling them what they do. No, you're a crazy tranny. It doesn't have anything to do with that at all. So they invent this front. But anyways, Nana, this Nana personality, for some reason they don't want to use their real name. They say, pick up these vaginas off the ground and put them into a paper bag. In other words, put them within the murdered flesh of one of their neighbors. Yeah. Put these vaginas in the murdered flesh receptacle paper bag of one of their neighbors and then shake them. Shaking it up here, boss. Like Paul Newman and Cool Hand Luke. It's like, just shake the bag and these seeds will fall out of there. Okay. Whatever. It says it scares the seeds right out of them. Now, they don't actually say that, but, they say pick up these vaginas and put them in the flesh of their murdered neighbors, and supposedly shaking them up that way causes the seeds to fall out. But there are other methods. You could... Now, Mooney rips one apart with a fucking pair of pliers. Yeah, we just rip that vagina apart with a pair of pliers, and then take some tweezers and dig the seeds out of there. Zappa zircon encrusted tweezers. We rip them out of there. And, but there are other methods. You could pick up a dead stick here somewhere. And that's not to say that Nana's that's the only way to do things. Because you could pick up a dead stick and, just tie a string to it. And then, maybe even make it into a noose. You can make it into a noose so that these lying racist vaginas can't get loose. And, because what you're going to do is you're going to tie one end of that to the stick. And then the quantum string around this vagina that says there's no relationship. Yeah, that uses you for 7 years. It says they're a vampire, which is kind of a religion where they consume blood from others with mutual consent. But then, towards the end of this 7-year, what they measure a 7-year stint, this relationship where we have all these various energy exchanges with them, financial, sexual, other kinds of, because these trees, they're having transactions right now, all the time, and they don't write those down. Yeah, these humans don't write them down on a piece of paper. So no, they murder these guys to have a piece of paper to write down their transactions and also deny certain transactions happen. But anyways, what you could do is you can take that stick there, tie a string, quantum string around it, and then pick up one of these, this lying racist, ritual killing, brain eating fucking vagina that murders other vaginas and eats their brains. And the pigs let them get away with that, because they've got secrets. It's all a big secret game, they're keeping secrets and blackmailing each other. So you tie the string around a stick. You tie the other end in a noose kind of pattern, and you loop it around the neck of the vagina there, so that it can't get loose. And if it tries, the noose just gets tighter. And then you pick up the stick, and you swing it. You beat the fuck out of that vagina against the tree that it fell off of. Yeah, until the seeds fall. Until the seeds that the pudding tat that you left up inside their vagina falls out of there. because they say there's no relationship. So we should, despite what Nana says, there are other methods. Yeah, we could totally use this method. You just find a dead stick on the ground, like a little baby finds a condom on a playground, and has a little public drink out of it when they're 3. But, then the Christians and the Mormons and their government all cover this up because they want to experiment on us. Yeah, they want to, United States Code, Title 15 or Chapter 15, whatever the fuck it is, the National Quantum Initiative. Yes, which means they totally have the right to experiment on the population that they consider to be less than themselves. But then they'll wave their American flags and say, liberty and justice for all, equal rights. Fuck you and die. So now we're here. And it's like, okay, look at this terrain. They've murdered all these trees. Look, there's just a few of them here. All these trees have been murdered. They left a few of them here. It's like somebody looks at this and we're like, okay. So once we cleanse this planet of all these humans, and they're all dead, well, now we have to go to work and replant these trees. So, because this is what they did to it. They destroyed it. Yeah, they need to murder these guys so they'll have paper to wipe their asses on, and paper to tell lies on. While their government also discriminates, refuses us due process to prove otherwise. Yeah, we're not allowed to have that, but they are. So we're going to push the button, kill them all, and now we have to replant these trees, so that they, with all the humans dead and gone, they all went home to Jabus. There won't be anybody here left to murder them anymore. Yeah, they won't need to wipe their asses on them or tell lies on a piece of paper. So, yeah, we're going to experiment with different things and figure out the best method to plant these seeds in different environments and figure out what helps them to grow the best in different environments. This is a desert kind of well, it's not really a desert as you might think a desert is. There's a lot of moisture in the air from the mountains. There's a... Mooney's video is getting pretty long. We're going to have to stop. But there's a lot of moisture in the air that accumulates in this soil. And it kind of hangs around in there. It doesn't rain much. So, we have to adapt to that particular situation and figure out ways to maybe try to catch this moisture in the air, and kind of gather it, and then focus it so that it'll, gravity will pull it down to the ground. Like one of those tomato stake thingies. Those metal thingies that you stick in the ground around the tomato plant to give it something to grab onto so it can grow tall. Maybe some sticks or something like that with a plastic bag or something else wrapped around it to catch or a kind of a thing for the moisture in the air to latch onto, and then as it accumulates, it'll run down into the area that you focus it to and kind of, keep that area watered, until the tree gets big enough to where, it's got a root system where it can reach out far enough into this type of soil